They're going after Chapelle. I know this story broke about a week ago, and I just haven't had time to get to it. And, you know, left-wingers going after a politically incorrect comedian, that's nothing new. That's not exactly a news story. But I think it ties in with a lot of the other things we're seeing on the world stage now. Countries outside of America and Western Europe are starting to push back against some of the radical, kooky, lunatic ideologies that we are exporting, the woke ideologies that we are exporting to the rest of the world. And Dave Chapelle just came under fire because he stood up against it. Initially, the CEO of Netflix defended Dave Chapelle. Then he got a ton of backlash from lunatics, many of whom worked at his own company. And now he's sort of apologizing for defending Chapelle. So the first question, I actually haven't seen the Chapelle special yet, not because I don't want to. I like Chapelle well enough. I really like that he's got a little tribute to Norm Macdonald at the end of it. I just haven't had time. So I haven't watched it. I said, what did this guy say to lead to all of these protests? And it turns out what Dave Chapelle said is that I can't believe we got to do another show on it. He said that men are not women.
She said gender was a fact. And then the trans community got mad as shit. They started calling her a TERF. I didn't even know what the that was. But I know that trans people make up words to win arguments. So I looked it up. TERF is an acronym. Stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. This is a real thing. This is a group of women that hate transgender. They don't hate transgender women, but they look at trans women the way we blacks might look at blackface. It offends them. Like, oh, this bitch is doing an impression of me. I'm Team TERF. I agree, man. Gender is a fact. You have to look at it from a woman's perspective.
It's a fact. It's a simple statement. Dave Chapelle is not a right-winger. He's not a conservative. I don't think he's a Christian. He and I probably disagree on many, if not most things. But we do agree on this. And this shouldn't be the shocking kumbaya moment that it has become. Until about 5 minutes ago, everyone agreed that men are not women. And then starting, I don't know, like 2017 or something, the left in this country lost its mind and now pretends that men are women. But what's interesting to me is not the argument Dave's making. We all know that that's true. What's interesting is the reactions. The CEO comes out, he initially said, quote, "While some employees disagree, we have a strong belief that content on screen does not directly translate to real world harm." Oh, I'm glad that he defended Chapelle. I'm glad he didn't, at least initially, give in to the kooks and the lunatics at his own company protesting him. But what he said is not true. Conservatives don't believe that that's true. He said, we don't believe that the content on screen translates to real world harm. So what you're saying is you don't believe that cultural products have real world implications, right? That's kind of the broader version of what this guy said. But that's not true. For how long have conservatives said politics is downstream of culture? For how long have conservatives said we need to take back Hollywood and take back the academy and take back the press and take back the publishing? And how long have we said that? We say that because we believe that cultural content does have real world implications. Alto IRA gives you a better way to invest in crypto. A lot of people think cryptocurrency might represent the future of money. It's one of the most exciting investment opportunities to come around for some time. But what about taxes? All right, when you want to do anything in life, there's one way to do it, and then maybe there's a smarter way to do it, okay? So you might already be investing in crypto, but did you know that you can trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, over 80 other cryptocurrencies in a tax-advantaged IRA? With an Alto Crypto IRA, you can trade crypto like Bitcoin and avoid or defer the taxes. Get into investing in crypto and do it in a tax-advantaged retirement account. You can create an account in just a few minutes. You can start investing with as little as $10, zero setup charges. There are a bunch of ways to fund your account. You can do it with a cash contribution, transfer cash from an existing IRA, roll over an old 401k, a lot of ways to do it. Open an Alto Crypto IRA account with as little as $10. Go to altoira.com/Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L. That is ALTOIRA.com/Michael, altoira.com/Michael. Michael. You know, this is parodied as this idea that in the 90s, mothers were very concerned that kids would start shooting up schools because they played violent video games. And the right was kind of split on this. Yes, the video games matter. No, the video games don't matter. Oh, it's cool. You know, you see this with the debate with porn. Well, just because kids are watching a ton of porn doesn't mean they're going to have disordered sexual relationships. No, come on. But if you believe in any way that politics is downstream of culture, or if you at least believe that culture kind of matters in politics, then surely what this CEO of Netflix said is not true. So the lunatics protesting him knew that that was not true, and they kept going after him. Now he says, I screwed up the internal communication. I did that. I screwed it up in two ways. First and foremost, I should have led with a lot more humanity. I had a group of employees who were definitely feeling pain and hurt from a decision we made, and I think that needs to be acknowledged up front before you get into the nuts and bolts of anything. I didn't do that. And then he goes on to point out, yeah, there are real-world implications from cultural products. First of all, he led with humanity, okay? What the left is saying here that is not true is that it's inhumane and cruel to tell deluded men that they're not really women, okay? That their argument is that it's not nice and compassionate to tell people the truth if they happen to be confused. And that's not true at all. It's actually very disrespectful and cruel to lie to people. So what Dave Chapelle did, and what the Netflix guy did, at least initially, was very humane. It was very compassionate. It was very respectful to tell people the truth. Now he's going squishy because that's what happens. There are three takes on the Chapelle fiasco. I notice on a lot of news stories there were three takes that one really can have. There's the lib take, the leftist take, which is that Dave Chapelle needs to be silenced and shut up, and Netflix should never have done this, and they should delete the comedy special now. Then there is the kind of libertarian take, which is Dave Chapelle has the right to say whatever he damn well pleases, and how dare you squash free speech and engage in censorship? He should be able to say whatever's on his mind. Then there is the conservative take, which is that Dave Chapelle absolutely has the right to say true things. I don't think Dave Chapelle has the right to say whatever he wants. I don't think Dave Chapelle has the right to threaten people. I don't think Dave Chapelle has the right to engage in fighting words. I don't think Dave Chapelle has the right to slander people. I don't think Dave Chapelle has the right to engage in obscenity, to engage in obscene speech. He certainly doesn't have the right to do any of that sort of stuff. He does have the right to say the truth, and he did just tell the truth here, and the truth is that men are not women. Right? So he has the right to do that. So the libertarians and the conservatives are on the same page with regard to whether or not to take down the Dave Chapelle special. But really, the conservatives and the woke people are on the same page when it comes to the observation that there are limits to speech, okay? And what the woke people want to push is they say that you have the right to say false things and you don't have the right to say true things. And the conservatives say you have the right to say true things, but you don't necessarily have the right to say false things. And the libertarians and the squishes in the middle refuse to distinguish between true and false, or good and bad, or right and wrong. How has that worked out? We have taken the libertarian squish approach for the last 30 or so years. How has that worked out? Not looking great by my lights. The fact that we even have to debate this, the fact that this is even controversial, that men are not women, shows you that the squish libertarian approach has not worked. So now you have two choices. You either go with the woke approach, which insists upon lies and bans the truth, or you get the conservative approach, which insists upon the truth and is not so polite to lies. And that requires us to have the conscience and the reason to be able to discern truth from falsehood. And it requires us to have the intestinal and spinal and maybe some other kind of anatomical fortitude to actually stand by the truth and enforce it. Dave Chapelle is a TERF. He's a TERF because he said a thing that's true. I'm so glad that you enjoyed that clip. I enjoyed it too. I enjoyed bringing it to you. I'm glad that you could listen and I could talk. Sometimes people don't get the notifications though. That's a big problem. The way to fix that problem, ring the bell, subscribe. Okay, not just here, hear me out, over at Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, AOL Instant Messenger, LiveJournal, Zanga, I don't know, wherever, man. Go subscribe to the Michael Knowles Show podcast. Leave a 5-star review if you wouldn't mind. I'll see you next time.